Have you seen that most recent reopening file? The reopening? Reopening file? The reopening?
And good evening, Explorer Nation. John Lynskey here, back with a Looking Back with Lynskey live with a little help from my friends. We're working without a net tonight. Should be entertaining, informative, and adventurous. Got a great group of guys here tonight. 4 alumni, 4 decades, the epitome of what defines an explorer can be found in all 4 of these guys. And I'd like to introduce them. But before we get to them, my co-host for the evening, the president of Columbus High School, Mr. Tom Kruchek. Tom, it's been quite a year for you, from a hurricane to a state title to now this ongoing pandemic. But you know, your steady hand, your clear vision, your leadership has been tremendous. And we thank you for that. And welcome, Tom.
Thanks, John. I appreciate the kind words. It's good to be here tonight. And a tropical storm. We got a tropical storm coming.
Now we got a tropical storm. You know, good times all the way around. Yes. So I'm glad to have Tom with me tonight. And before I get to our esteemed guest, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the 2 people who make this broadcast happen. Mr. Omar Delgado, class of 1998, head of CCNN, technological wizard, and right here with me in my office, Mrs. Melissa Marty. She's in charge of our social media, and she does so many things to make this school better. And we thank you both. Thank you, Mel. Thank you, Omar. Now, our guest. Again, they span the decades, going back to the 1970s. Yes, our first guest from the class of 1978, my dear friend, my classmate, Dr. Bebo Collazo. Bebo, welcome, buddy.
Thank you, bud. Nice to see you.
Good to see you, brother. Just a little background on Bebo. We graduated together. Yes, we did. And little known fact, Bebo actually taught here. We started the same year in 1984. We wore younger man's clothes back then. Before you went on to your true calling, Bebo is a physician extraordinary. He's internal medicine, the Baptist Health System of South Florida, a pillar of the medical community here, proud alumni dad, 3 sons have graduated from Columbus. Glad to have you here, brother.
Thank you, brother.
From 1985, the legendary class of 1985, made my first year as a teacher very interesting. Mr. Carlos Luis, he is a noted State Farm agent, president of Luis Insurance Company. He is a member of our school board, deeply involved on the development committee. He works closely with Flash Fernandez, brother Kevin, Doug Yount, Barbara Brannis. Again, another alumni dad. Carlos, welcome, buddy.
Thank you so much. Really honored to be part of this. Getting excited for it. So.
Well, you're an excitable guy, Carlos. No question about that.
There you
So
go.
thank you for being here. Up next, from the class of 1998, Mr. Adrian Alfonso. Adrian is now a tax principal at Kaufman Rosen. He is a member of our executive committee here at school. He's the head of the finance committee. He knows about all the dollars and cents. And my favorite memory of Adrian as a student, he was our student body president. Lots of things happened when Adrian was running the student body. Lots of things, some good, but all interesting. Anyway, Adrian, welcome, buddy.
Hey, Mr. Lynskey, great to be on. I'm excited too.
We're glad to have you, Adrian, and thank you for everything you do. Finally, from the new millennium, the class of 2000, he's a sales executive for Herff Jones, Mr. Danny Fernandez. Dan played football when he was here at Columbus, one of the toughest guys I ever saw. He played with no soul, no remorse, no compassion. He went toe-to-toe with Frank Gore and Andre Johnson and Roscoe Parrish, and was a key member of the class of 2000. Danny, welcome, buddy.
Thank you for having me, John. Appreciate it.
Thank you all for being here. Tom and I are really appreciative. You know, everybody's busy right now. Things are going on. So thank you for taking the time. And of course, we welcome our audience. I hope people are tuning in. If you guys out there, if you have any questions, comments, things you want to know, you see your old classmates up here, please let them know. Give us a shout out and we'll do our best to get you involved. So we want to make this fun. I mean, Columbus is all about fun, you know, learning while having a good time. And that's what we do. So I think the first thing I'm going to throw out to you guys, when I say Columbus to you, what's the first word that comes to your mind? Association. Any of you, go ahead. Columbus, and you think what?
Brotherhood.
Brotherhood.
That's what I was thinking.
Say brotherhood.
Seems to be across the board. Tom?
Yeah, absolutely, brotherhood. I mean, that's the word I hear. That's the word I know.
You know, and I guess my answer would tie into that is when I think of Columbus, you know what comes to my mind? Laughter. Almost every memory I have as a student, teacher, whatever, ends up with laughter, you know, and I think it is because of the bond we have, and a bond that has lasted so much, and the environment of our brotherhood, you know, it leads to laughter. So that is that's my favorite word when it comes to Columbus. But brotherhood clearly is our defining word. Any let me ask you this.
John?
Yeah, Tom.
The brotherhood, was it always like this? How long ago did that really start becoming so imbued?
Bebo, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was embedded when we came here in the 70s. I bet if you went back and asked the older guys like Carter Burris, I think from day one.
Really?
Right.
Another word would be fraternity. I would say like its own fraternity of guys. It's another word that you can use for it, like brotherhood.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it was embedded in us. It was passed down to us. And I think there's a legacy aspect that we do our best to pass it on. And I think because so many of us who went to school here teach here, it guarantees that it goes from generation to generation, decade to decade.
Many of us had the opportunity for that kind of legacy, that lineage, to experience it in the middle of that road, because we had family members that had gone before us and also older brothers of our friends. I remember as a St. Brendan student going to see Scudder Thomas as quarterback of Columbus. I don't know if you remember him, John. That's Jimmy Thomas's older brother.
Scrub. Yes, yeah.
That was like, we would see him on the field and we were like, this is the guy I want to be, you know? And so along the way, as we move along the path of our lives through Columbus, the other word that comes to mind is loyalty, which is loyalty to each other, not loyalty to the school, which did so much for us, but also created an environment of brotherhood. And that loyalty to each other is manifested because of that brotherhood. Okay, so to this day, you have guys that you know and guys you don't know that were Columbus grads, and something comes up and somebody tells you, one of your brothers tells you, hey, listen, talk to this guy. And you talk to that guy and boom, that guy is like not even thinking twice about laying down the red carpet for you and helping you out. It's unbelievable.
I mean,
Absolutely.
you guys know how rare that is in high school. I mean, I've been around a lot of places around the country, and I've never seen a high school that had this sense of loyalty. Yeah, you're right, Doc. You know, that's a great word. The loyalty, the fact that you guys will do anything, that we'll do anything for each other. But that's really rare in a high school. You hope you get it in college, but to get it in high school, that's amazing.
You don't see it in other places. Adrian, why do you think we are the way we are? Because it's not normal. and it's certainly not the norm. Why?
And I think it goes to the core principle of what the Marist School is and what the Marist teachings are. And I think we're there for each other. We protect each other. We're humble servants, if you want to say. But at the end of the day, I think like Bebo said, we're out to help each other out first and foremost. I mean, he's absolutely right. If somebody calls me and tells me there's an explorer that needs something, you jump. You might not know who that person is or where they're coming from, but if they share the same 4 years of brotherhood that you went through and then some, right? Because after you graduate, I think the experience after you graduate is as important than the 4 years when you were in school. I just think it goes. It's almost hard to explain, right? What keeps us all together. It's just something extremely special. It's funny because when you're in Miami and somebody asks you what school you went to, I mean, immediately you say the high school you went to instead of the college you went to, because I think that's almost more important in Miami. The fact you went to Columbus than you went to a university or a college or the university or college that you went to. So I think it's extremely special. I think the core of it, I think it's, everybody in the school, the faculty at the school, the Marist brothers at the school from the very beginning have instilled that in all the alums that have gone through the school. And it's a very special thing that we have.
Carlos, let me ask you, how important was it for you to have your sons have the Columbus experience?
Extremely important. First of all, if I may interject and add to Adrian and Bebo's, what they just said. I think when you come to Columbus, you come in as a boy, really. You're really young boy, and you go through the adulthood stage through this brotherhood that you share with all these guys that are going through the same challenges and experiences you are, and you get mentors like yourself and other great teachers out there that mold you. And I think that creates that bond that we call brotherhood, that forever will keep us together through the good and through the bad.
Yeah.
And I could tell you tons of stories, and going back to my kids, when I first was going in, telling my wife, we're going to put our boys through Columbus, we're going to go through Columbus. She would hear from other high schools. But it wasn't until one of my dearest friends, Robert Fernandez, passed away suddenly.
Yeah.
And we did a big an impromptu money. We went there to try to gather some money for him and his wife, to gather some monies. In 2 days, we did this event, and we were able to collect $25,000 that night. And at that night, we had graduates from all sorts of years from Columbus. Now, they didn't know Robert, but he knew he had gone to Columbus. And they came in with a check in hand. And all I can remember is my wife was in tears. And she said, now I understand what this is all about. Our kids need to go to Columbus.
Dan, you had the unusual situation. You had a twin brother in class with you. What was it like having your twin brother in school with you?
Well, it's always been a challenge because we are two different people, completely different people. And people always see us as one because we are twins. But I'll never forget one of the first moments I ever experienced, especially with Coach Foyle, walking in the B hallway in that crosswalk. We didn't know Foyle that well because he was obviously a varsity football coach staff member, but we were freshman football team players at that time, and he sees two twins fighting in the middle of the hallway, going blows, and he may have walked into a punch, but we definitely felt the wrath afterwards. So we definitely had a good time. It's a different experience dealing with that. We did have some different friends, but we do share a lot of common friends, and to this day we talk every day with them. We're in a group chat. They're all texting me now, tell us some stories and stuff like that. So it's definitely a different experience dealing with a twin brother.
Yeah.
That's a brotherhood all in itself.
Indeed. Let me ask you, fellas. We're a great school academically. We are. our Silver Knight winners, our National Merit Scholars, where our kids go to school, speaks volumes. But, and all of you have become very successful. But what was it outside of history, math, English? What was the most important lesson you learned at Columbus High School that helped you on your way? Forget about the classroom. What did this school teach you?
Well, I think dealing with the social skills of dealing and interacting with young people just like our age or older than us, having to deal with us, not in a, in all sorts of ways. And I think that social aspect or interacting that we keep for life, I think helped us, at least me, and I think a lot of the people that I know that went through Columbus.
Yeah, I think what I could think of most when you say something like that is the idea of individual responsibility. And as Pew said, check your integrity. He said that to the class of 2020 in his speech.
Yeah.
Or examine your integrity on an ongoing basis. I think that's something that was instilled by our parents. A lot of us can certainly say that. But the school was a place where we could actually feel that message. And certainly if we walked away from something, even despite all the diversions and shenanigans and things that happen with 16, 17-year-old kids, is the idea that I'm responsible not only for myself and to make something of myself, but I'm responsible for the people around me, the community around me, my family, et cetera. I think that that's something that's instilled in Columbus and in few other places, And part of that is not only your family, but it's also the lineage, as I said before. So you were talking about the twin brother, and I was thinking to myself, my sister was a senior in Lourdes when I was a freshman, but it wasn't just that connection of sister school. It was all her friends who were a senior at Columbus when I was a freshman, whose parents knew my parents, and so on and so forth. And that included Freddie Foyle. I mean, I remember being at Freddie's house when I was a kid, and also Joe Greer and guys like that. Those are guys that you don't forget those linkages. And every time you see these people, it takes you back to the roots. And the roots started, for me, they would have started in a place like Columbus High School. No question about it.
Let me add one thing. Not even, I have a lot of parents of kids that went to Columbus, and they feel that fraternity. When I had a dump truck go through my office back in November of last year, and one of the parents of one of the kids that graduated from Columbus came running down here. He's our structural engineer. He came here to help, and the first thing he said is, "Adelante, I'm here." So it goes beyond us alumni. The parents
Yeah, they
get
feel
involved
it
as
too.
well.
They feel it too.
John, I was going to say the battle of the NBN food, but I guess you don't want to talk about anything that happened in the classroom.
Well, that
Well,
sounds like a story. I want to hear the story.
I think John was at the Battle of Dembian-Fu.
You were next to me, brother.
I mean, to me, what I learned at Columbus, and it was more a reinforcement of what I was taught at home, is just, being humble and being a servant. I mean, helping people wherever the case might be. You don't need to go too far out of your way to help someone. So to me, those are some of the things that I learned at Columbus. And then, I want to echo what the other guys were saying is it's not just the alum or the students or the faculty that are there. I mean, I think the Columbus spirit and what we all feel, I think our spouses feel it and live it. I think our kids, my daughters are 8 and 9 and go to St. Louis. And they love Columbus, and they're always talking about Columbus, and they're proud of it. When I first started dating my wife, she thought I was crazy and that it was a cult, that Columbus was a cult. Until she started getting to know a lot of the people from Columbus and realizing what Columbus is and what Columbus does for people. So it goes beyond just the alums and the students at the school.
I'm gonna tell you, John, that when I was in medical school and I was doing my third year rotation, my first clinical rotation is where I met my wife. She was already an intern, a couple years ahead of me.
By the way, you married up, okay?
I was going to say intellectually very many years ahead of me. but you know, I don't know if the other guys know, and certainly a lot of friends, if they're watching, they know I married a Jamaican woman. So I pulled a guess who's coming to dinner thing on my parents, which was for those people that are too young. Actually, Danny's laughing. That means he knows what the hell I'm talking about.
I get it.
So I pulled one of those, and of course, one of the first questions of compatibility, besides, oh, she's a practicing Catholic, that helped a lot, was my brother. She said my brother went to Columbus. Her brother transferred from a school, college in Jamaica to that's what they call high school in the British system, to Columbus, and graduated from Columbus. So that was a win-win situation right there for my parents.
Agreed. Hey, Tom, when you first arrived on campus, what was it like encountering our boys and their energy and their social skills, which we'll talk about? You've been a lot of places, you've worked in different environments, you know, from college and Disney and a lot of other stops along the way. What did you think the first time you had the Columbus experience?
I was amazed at how well spoken our guys were. I was amazed how polite they were. It was sir, it was sir, it was sir. It was amazing. And then when I've had the opportunity in the early part of the first semester to be able to go into some classes and hear them make presentations, I mean, they were doing so well. And you know, to me, that's one of the places where, you know, when you guys talk about the soft skills, that's one of the things where I think our guys really excel. And that's why I think they're so successful when they go to colleges, is because they can be leaders. It's not like they're going to be the student body president as a freshman in college, but they know not to do stupid things in the dorms. They know how to do the right things in the dorms. And then, you know, they speak well, they make great presentations. And to me, that's what, it was just amazing, John, at how well-spoken, mature our guys were. Yeah, they do stupid things. I can see them wrestling in the mud outside my window sometimes, but you know, watching how they act and how they interact with the adults, with the teachers, it's special. It's really special.
Guys, where does that Columbus charm come from? Because it's a well-known attribute to Columbus guys. You ask any women, you know, from high school girls to women in their 70s, you know, that knew Carter Burris in high school. Where does that Columbus charm come from? Those social skills. It doesn't make sense.
With a bunch of guys, everybody's a Rico Suave, right?
Outdo each other. That's all.
I think it comes from,
To brag about how good, better looking you are, you know, and so forth. So
I don't have that problem. I have a twin brother. You know, we've been arguing for that for years. You know, so.
Yeah.
I think that charm comes from Carter Burris, Tom O'Neill.
And passed on down. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I can't explain it, but it is a viable thing, and it continues. Our kids have great self-confidence. They're not afraid. They'll take center stage, and somehow, some way, this place prepares kids for that. As Tom was saying earlier, him coming onto campus and seeing us in action, to us, you know, Columbus is one of those things. It can't be explained sometimes. It can only be experienced. And we have all had some experiences, and we all know colorful characters, which we can talk about. Mel, do we have any questions from the audience?
We do. We've got some questions and comments already. I don't know if you want to start from bottom up or top down.
Let's see.
And I have to do a lot of editing on the comments.
I could tell you what the best twin story was at Columbus, though. I know John was asking. We had a Mr. Martinez. I don't remember Mr. Martinez, the computer guy, teacher.
Yeah.
Well, I had him in the first half of my senior year, and Marcus had him the second half. And he's like, Fernandez, what are you doing in the class again? He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, I have a twin brother. He was in your class. He's like, I don't believe you. You need to go to the main office. Your brother goes to the main office. They call me down from English class. They're like, you have to report to Mr. Martinez's classroom. Okay, no problem. We go to Mr. Martinez's classroom. The guy literally takes out a ruler, writes a line on his wall, and Marcus would have to go to his classroom every day and get measured in order to sit in the classroom chair because he didn't believe that we were twins at that point. So
Perfect.
yeah.
Perfect. Dan, in fact, we got a question for you, Dan.
His classmates.
One of your classmates, Anthony Perez, he wants you to elaborate on what it was like playing football in '99. That great season with Coach.
That was a great year. That was a great year. We've talked to Lynch about it because we know what happened the years prior to that and how things changed all of a sudden. But I think when Dave Dunn came in, it was just all about football that we've discussed. It wasn't anything that happened before. He just wanted us to have fun. And we believe that we can be a great team, and we were a great team. I think we talk about this. I think our team is the one that's changed the culture there, which has led to that state title. It was a long time coming, but I think our team had a lot to do with that. And we take a lot of pride in that. A lot of the guys from our class definitely saw that change happen. So we were ecstatic when Coach Dunn came back because he was the guy to lead that ship for that first state title. So we were excited about that. And 99 was a great year. You know, we had a great time. I'll never forget those moments. Those are some of my proudest moments in my life. So.
And mine as well, to be honest with you. A young guy, one of our current students. Hello, Frank. Frank wants to know, and you guys can go back in the Wayback Machine. What was your sophomore year like? You know, Frank's going to be a sophomore. You guys remember sophomore year? You're not freshmen anymore.
Well, we had a lot of good experiences, certainly throughout the entire period of time in and out of school. But I will tell you, the one thing that comes to mind my sophomore year is Julio. You know,
yeah.
And I still remember, you know how in life, as you get older, you have less and less visual memories of your life. You know, it's harder to remember things. And sometimes someone will say something that triggers a memory that you're able to recall that you didn't know about or had forgotten about. But to this day, there is no forgetting. I think I was in A14 with Mr. LaSalle, our religion teacher. When we had found out, everybody knew Julio was really sick in the ICU at Baptist. And when we found out that he had passed away, and even right now saying it, I get choked up a little bit. There was no words to say at that time. I remember we all just got up and we went to St. Brendan Church. You remember that, John?
Yeah, I do. For you guys out there that may not know, Bebo's referring to our classmate, Julio Portela, who was struck by lightning out at football practice our sophomore year. And he hung on for 4 days before he passed. It was rough.
But do you see that? This is something that occurred, I don't know how many zillions of years ago. And to this day, everybody can recall every single specific about that situation, that Julio lasted 4 days. Who were the guys that were knocked down at that time? Everybody recalls that, like if it happened yesterday.
That was a bad day. Yeah.
I may change the tune there. On my sophomore year, I can tell you is Ferris Bueller thought he had a great time down in Chicago, right? Well, my sophomore year, I think I outdid him. We snuck with a couple guys from Columbus. We snuck into the Miss Universe pageant, right? How about that, my friends?
Who is that?
Huh? I don't know. It looks like my kid.
What'd you guys
did that? And it was the next day, we actually got some photos. It was incredible. So definitely became very popular after that encounter.
Hey,
Nice.
Frank, this is not a good idea. We're not going to do this, Frank, okay?
Pay no attention to these guys, Frank. Do the opposite.
Yeah.
Do the opposite.
Similar to you, John and Bevo, our sophomore year, the summer leading into our sophomore year, we actually lost one of our classmates also, Tommy Riley.
Tommy.
Yeah, and I remember, vividly going to the hospital, Children's Hospital, visit him, and I didn't know him. He came from Conchita at Pinoza, I believe, and I was from St. Teresa, from Little Flower. But that event kind of joined our class together, and I think is what made our class special to a certain extent, getting so close together during those tough times.
Our class had it our senior year with Willie Alvarez. And I'll still never forget the day that my brother and I and a few of us were at the Right to Life March in DC when we got the phone call from some of our friends saying that Willie had passed in a car accident. And I remember it struck me like a ton of bricks. And I wasn't really as close to Willie. I was just really close to him in the classroom because he sat next to me in math class. So I'll never forget those moments. And I remember, you know, shedding tears over it because it hits home, you know, because that's one of your classmates. And I think it goes back to the brotherhood that we have, you know, that we all feel so close to each other, you know.
And thinking of and talking about that legacy and passing the baton, even when my two sons who both played baseball at Columbus, Willie Alvarez was named to be revered. You know, everybody knew who Willie Alvarez was, and these are kids that were, you know, 2010, 2012 graduates, but they all knew who Willie Alvarez was.
Well, it's part of our family.
John, my sophomore year was the uniforms and Brother Angelo.
That was a sea change, as they say.
It was a change.
That's when this place, I would call that a turning point. Absolutely.
Those boat shoes lasted 1 year because they all turned into sandals.
Yeah, they did. Yes, they did.
Yeah, Danny, you weren't there for my freshman year.
Yeah, it was hell. I know.
Did they get rid of ties? Get rid of ties?
No, they had ties. I still have my tie, the blue and the light blue one with the white.
I think my tie is still in the locker that I left it in back in 1682. You know, I used to get in trouble for trying to run to my locker to get my tie on before I had it on. Because we all had a principal, Brother Hugh, who would wait for you in the breezeway there in the A building, ready to, I'm not even going to go there.
But you know, on that note, because of the continuity that exists in this place, and then the people that taught me, I got to work with, and you know, guys I taught and now teach here and all of that, we've all had people that helped form us and mold us. Who are some of the people at Columbus that directly impacted you guys that you'll never forget?
I can start if you want me to. I know it was, I tell you all the time, you're one of my closest mentors that I've had. I've told you personal stuff, work stuff, stuff that you've said to us over the years when on the football field that resonates still to this day in my business life to keep pushing forward. You were one of those guys, Foyle, obviously, Coach Lavelle, and then Coach Dunn that senior year was really one of those guys as well. So I would say those are the four guys I would really, you know, gravitate towards who really pushed us along the way for me.
Yeah,
I would
John,
say
you. I would say Coach
was,
Ryan. I would say Coach Foyle were definitely instrumental, you know, and we still talk each day. We reminisce about the past when we, you know, during the football season and at the track, doing track with Coach Lynskey was coaching track. Him and Coach Stokes.
Oh my God, Stokes. I can't believe we let him work here. Oh my God.
For me, it was definitely Carter Burris.
Yeah.
Also, Mike Dean. I loved Mr. Dean. I still have trouble calling people by their first names. I'm sure all of us have that problem.
It takes a while, yeah.
Was somebody who was so intriguing, his personality, his style of teaching. I used to look at him and say, how can I be like that? And then I realized when you could see like 14 fibers in his forearms, I said, I'm never going to be like that. But also Pat Call. I mean, obviously, she was a mentor to me as a teacher, and the list is endless. I mean, I had so many, because I'm confusing being a student and then being a teacher. I was a teacher there for 2 years, as you know, John. I started when you started teaching for 2 years until I went back to medical school. But that was equally as fulfilling in terms of the people that I met and became friends with and are friends to this day with. That's an amazing additional experience that I was blessed to have.
Absolutely. Adrian?
Keith Crossman, obviously, Mr. Crossman. He was SAC moderator back then, and him and I would have a lot of we would do a lot of interesting things. Surprised he didn't get fired the 4 years, especially my senior year. But we had a lot of good times with Keith. And then, I was involved with campus ministry, and Brother Ken Curtin and Liam Quinn were both involved, obviously, back then, and they were big influences in my life. And Liam is still today, and Ken, till he passed, till the day he passed a few years back, he was very influential in my life.
Adrian, let me build on that. The Maris brothers have done amazing things for a lot of guys at this school, and I think some of us on this in this conversation right now can attest to the generosity of the Maris brothers and how they're willing to. We are not an elitist school, and we're very, very, very proud of that. And I think in some ways, more than others, some of you guys benefited directly from the compassion and charity of the Maris brothers. You guys want to say anything about that?
Yeah, I'll jump in if you want, John. I had graduated already, and my younger brother Andres Alfonso, who you know who he is, played basketball, the clown, Hall of Famer. He was a junior, and my father had recently been diagnosed with colon cancer, metastasized to the liver right after I graduated. And my brother's junior year, he had taken a turn for the worse, and he was, he was on his deathbed. And I remember back then, I believe the tuition payments were due, I think one at the beginning of the year and one in January. And my dad passed away in November of 1999, and he was concerned about the tuition payment in January. I mean, my parents sacrificed their lives to put us through private school, from kindergarten through high school. And I know it was a huge sacrifice for them and a huge dedication for them. And my father was concerned about the tuition payment that was due in January of 2000. So he asked me to go talk to Brother Angelo, who was the principal. So when I went to talk to Brother Angelo, I still remember my brother was playing a basketball game and Brother Angelo was there. I told brother, what can we do about the tuition? And, I remember Brother Angelo telling me, don't worry about it. Take care of your family. Father passes away. I go back to talk to Brother Angelo about the tuition. And he told me, he goes, I told you, not to worry about it. I don't want to talk about this again. And because of the generosity of the Maris brothers, my brother went to Columbus, half his junior year without, paying a tuition, and his senior year. And for that, I will always be grateful to, not only the Maris brothers, but everybody who was around for us back then. From my brother, Butch Diano, and the coaching staff, and you guys. I mean, it goes beyond the Maris brothers, but the Maris brothers were really special for us then and still are today. And for that, I will always be grateful for them.
Okay. Tom, when you became president, did you get the sense of how important it is to take care of our own here at Columbus? Was that emphasized to you?
Yeah, absolutely. And the sense of family. I think, as I was, talking to Mickey Maspons, as I was talking to Jose Mas, and everybody else going through this, Adrian, as I was going through this process, you got the sense that this was a family. This was a tight family. And I would hear stories. I would hear stories from some of our board members about how the school took care of them. And then, during the course of this year, I've heard stories from JB, I've heard stories from Lou, and on about difficult times that families had, and Columbus took care of them. And that's beautiful. That's what we do as a Maris school, right? We take care of our own.
I think it's something that most people don't know about.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't know, and I like to share it, that, probably a third of our students are on financial aid, receive some sort of financial aid. Last couple of years, we've been giving out about $1.5 million in financial aid. This year, we're probably going to give out over $2 million in financial aid, because there's a lot of families who are struggling right now. But, the alumni have been so wonderful. The friends of the school have been so wonderful. So we're going to be able to do that, because I don't want to lose a student. I don't want to lose anybody because they can't make the tuition payment. And we will take care of our family. We will take care of our Columbus family. But yeah, John, it was made real important. It was really important. And certainly I understand. We take care of our own. We take care of our family.
Yes, we do. There's a term that gets used all the time. Bebo, it wasn't around when we were in school, but the concept was, the spirit was what it means to be Marist. We didn't learn, Bebo, I don't remember hearing about Marshall and Champagne when we were in school, but I knew what it was to be Marist. So when I say that phrase to you, Danny, when you hear what it means to be Marist, what do you think of?
It's to really service people and be humble and help people out in a time of need. That's what I see about it. Even in my own situation now, when I go to Columbus for business, and I sell class rings and I sell graduation products to the school. If there's a student who needs a class ring and they can't afford one, you know I'm going to take care of the Columbus student. I'm going to take care of any student, whether it's at Columbus or at one of my public schools I deal with, because I just feel like we've always are meant to serve people. And that started at home. I think with mom, raising us, and even at Columbus, you guys pushing it as well, through whether it was through ministry or through actual service projects or clubs that we were involved with that dealt with service. So for me, that's what that means, as far as being a Marist and helping people out,
Carlos?
I second that. I mean, everything is about helping each other out, not only within us, but going outside the school. I mean, I can't think Coach O'Brien, Castaway Against Cancer.
Absolutely.
How
Yeah.
about that? How about that? Guys, how many years? 20-something years he's been rowing, going all the way out there, paddling through Key West. I did only one round. I did 18 miles, the last leg, and I was beat. I couldn't believe the punishment, the strength, everything they had to go through, and this is all to give away to help cure for cancer. So,
yeah,
Fire.
Yeah, it is very inspiring. That funky old man like that. It's quite something.
Didn't know he had it in him.
He still does too, man.
When the Marists say to make Jesus loved and known, they're not just loose words. There's a lot of action to back that up.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Mel, any questions? Any new questions?
Yeah, we got a couple. We got a couple questions. Somebody would like Adrian to please elaborate on Beach Bash and its creation.
Yeah. Okay, Adrian. Once and for all.
That was your wife, Adrian.
This
No,
has been
that's Omar. That's Omar asking the question.
probably Delgado. 22 years, Adrian. Please, once and for all, who came up with Beach Bash? Because whoever it was, I mean, it's incredibly successful. It's the social event of the year. Did you do it? What's the deal?
It was the class of 1998. It was a collective effort by the class of 1998. I know I was there. I know Omar was there. I know Eliam was there. I Ricky Pellegrin. There was a lot of us involved in that.
I know I went as a freshman, so it was a great event. We had a great time. So
there was two things that we did different for that dance. My freshman, sophomore, and junior year, we had 10, 15 people at the dances. I mean, there was nobody showing
Yeah,
up.
they died. They were terrible.
And one of the things we did, Lourdes was the dance to go to back then. And they always had their dance the first Saturday of the school year. And the first or second. And I'm talking to Mr. Crossman, we said, you know what, we just got to move ours the week before. So we had ours the week before. And then Omar and his group probably came up with the theme of Beach Bash. And the rest is history. I think we had 1,000 people at the first Beach Bash. I know now it's like 2,000, but going from 15 people to 1,000 people, is
it still in the cafeterias or is it in the gym now?
Oh, no, it's all over the campus now.
Oh man.
No, it's insane.
No, I'm gonna have to object here, because to me, first of all, when you guys started Beach Bash, I think I was in the ICU at Jackson, wishing I was dead. But beyond that, the sock hops, man. Come on, John, sock hops.
Oh, yeah. No. Back in our day, no, it rock and rolled in the cafeteria. I mean, come on.
We had a few of those, but then you would go to Coco Cabana for BB Bash.
How can you forget Albert Hernandez with those short shorts and those hairy legs with just socks on? Come on,
I try to forget that, actually. Burned in my memory bank, though.
You do have a couple other, John, here.
What do we got?
You have William Reel, class of 19. Did you guys all skip late detentions too? William would like to.
Oh my goodness.
I think that, well, I will say this, getting detentions at one time was a badge of honor. I mean, you wanted to see how much trouble you could get in, quite frankly. And we tried to outdo each other. And we, let's face it, if you're going to do something stupid, well, I can top that. So yeah, William, detention is a longstanding tradition here, and not always perhaps attending detention was an issue from time to time. We can't deny that.
Hey,
Now,
I did 3 months standing. No problem.
I have to say that sometimes the brothers missed. Oh, by the way, another person we can't leave out was Lou Savino.
Lou's great, man. Yeah.
That's a great man. And everybody feared him like nobody's business.
Wow.
Everybody feared him. But I'll tell you this, when we, for some reason, and I don't understand, I think it's totally unjustified, got caught doing international relations during the day at Lord's Academy with full vesting or whatever you call clothing at the time, we got in trouble for that. And I really don't understand why, but I learned all about horticulture and pulling weeds and all that for I think a month on Saturdays at Columbus. It was a great experience.
You were just trying to practice diplomacy.
I was not a lead troublemaker. I was always 5 steps behind the main guy. I think Raul Garcia Quintero was one of those main guys.
Yeah, they didn't vet very well for the Supreme Court position, clearly.
Which, by the way, we have to. I forget. Danny, I think, was talking about, the class of '99 and football, and that's great. I understand that's probably true, but those are big words when you talk about all the people in the '80s who came before him, the Bonacanis and the Greasies and the Highsmiths. And even before that,
93, and I watched that team play.
One of the greatest duos of all time. And I'm not talking about Hamilton and Washington. And I'm not talking about Madison and Jefferson. I'm talking about Raul Garcia Quintero and John Lynskey behind the front line. That was a pretty damn good lineup.
Yeah, but our game films are still in black and white, Bebo. So that was a long time ago. Clearly. Okay. Yes.
Doug Sawyer chimed in here with regards to football. He said, sorry, but the class of 76
There you go.
that set the foundation for talent and excellence for Columbus football.
One of the most talented teams of all time. No question about it. And if they hadn't had to play 3 games in 10 days, things might have been different for them. So yeah,
when they had,
there's great guys.
is that when they had Whittington? Is that Whittington in that team?
Whittington and those guys.
He went to play Notre Dame, then he played for the Giants.
Yeah.
Linebackers.
Correct. No, I had some players on that team.
Was that Doug Sawyer from the class of 1945?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was 43, but yes, that's the one. Yes. Yes. You know him well. Okay. What's the best story you can tell about Columbus? And the operative word is that you can tell. You have one that comes to mind, the relatively quick, to the point, that will pass the family test.
Well, unfortunately, I'm not passing the family test. I'm gonna defer to Carlos.
Thank you. Hey, you know what? There's a good story that involves Mr. Lynskey's younger brother, that a guy named Adam Lambden.
Oh, Adam the Lamb Lambden, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Mr. Bench record. I think that guy had a bench record for like a decade.
Strong man.
Dr. Carter Burris's bench, I guess bench off or something they had at the cafeteria. Yeah. And apparently they had a group of guys that went with a head coach over to Canada. We had Nick Bonacani Jr., they had Duffy Martinez, Jim Lynskey. Who else was in that group?
Sean DeKnight, Michael Bow, Adam. Yeah, it was about 20 guys.
And as they're going, they were wrestling around, and your younger brother, Jim Lynskey, falls on a knife that went through his bicep or his forearm.
Forearm, yeah.
Went through the forearm. According to Adam Landum, there was blood, like 2 inches of blood in that canoe. He said they thought he was dead. They took out the knife, and the coach actually sewed up his arm with some fishing line and some hook that he had in there.
Yeah.
And he said all he did was biting on a stick.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in the Canadian wilderness. This was 1980. They were way up in the middle of nowhere. No cell phones, no nothing. And yeah, he got a knife right through the forearm. But Bob Lewis stitched him up, and a month later, he's playing football again. And that's the first team that went to state. My brother, yeah, pretty tough guy, knife through the forearm. Yeah.
And to this day, this is almost 40 years ago. They're still talking about, they get together. They were telling me they get together and they talk about that time they had up there.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That's crazy.
Dan, you got anything?
Yeah, the one story that really comes to mind when we talk all the time amongst my friends is never forget our senior year during two-a-days. Coach Mirabal, after first morning practice, they had caught wind that we would go to the lake over on Miller, by the Palmetto Expressway. And he's like, I don't want you guys going to the lake. Don't go to the lake. Don't go to the lake. Something bad's going to happen at the lake. We said, okay, we're not going to the lake. We ended up at the lake. And then I'm sure you guys all know Anthony Perez, who commented there, Rogaine, as we call him.
Rogaine, yes.
They had a rope that you would swing off the tree.
Yeah,
Kick it outwards, and that's the only way you'll end up in the lake. So we're like, Anthony, you sure you got it? He's like, yeah, I got it. He didn't do it the right way. He ended up going into the tree, falling down, almost lost consciousness, was in the water for about a good 2 minutes before he came up. And we all started panicking. We're like, oh my God, we got to go back to practice. This guy's dead. We don't see him. Thank God he came up. I don't think we ever went to the lake after that again, but that's one of the funny stories I remember fondly.
Twin Island Lake.
Adrian, you got something?
Yeah, I got two, but I want to see Mr. Crossman retire from Columbus. So
Okay.
And Omar loves this story. He's kind of pushing me to say the story. It's a pretty funny story. My senior year, I was SAC president. Omar was the SAC senior class president. So, SAC, we had our own office. And my younger brother, who's 6'5", was a freshman. And in Spanish class, there was some sophomore, junior that was picking on him. This little kid, he was, one of these kids who was always making trouble. So my brother tells me, hey, this kid, he wants to fight after school and all these things. I'm like, don't worry, I'll take care of it. So during homeroom, I forget who pulled the kid out of McCullough's homeroom class and brought him down to the SAC office. And I was sitting in the office. I had House. I don't know if you remember House.
Yeah, he's a big man.
Yeah, he's like a door. I mean, he's huge. Had House. Omar was in there. I think Matt Panzer, Fred's son.
Yeah.
I made sure to cover all my angles in case, something happened. And this kid walks in and he's looking around and he's seeing all these people and my brother was there. I'm like, I understand you have an issue with my brother. And he looks at my brother and he looks around. He's like, oh, no, sir. I'm so sorry, sir. It won't happen again. It won't happen again. We talked back and forth. The kid left. My brother says he never looked at him again, ever. And those were some of the things that we would do at Columbus, and it was fun.
Obviously, these kids have evolved.
Yeah, I think the kids are the same. The rules are different.
Yeah, I remember, John, when I took Nicholas for the first time to the orientation when he was in 8th grade, my oldest son. He graduated 2010, 10 years ago. And I was super excited walking through the halls. I hadn't been back since I left from teaching in 84. And we're walking around and I'm trying to be the wise guy, the smart aleck, as the father, as usual. And we're walking around the A building on the A14 side. And I don't know if you recall that the orientation, the people leading you around are the math students. Yeah.
We try to put our best foot forward in that regard.
Sure.
Yeah.
Understood. And I remember with all the parents there and I said, hey, is detention still in A11? And he's looking at me like I'm speaking Mandarin or something. He has no idea what I'm talking about. and everybody else is looking at me like saying, who is this guy? And I just said, all right. And Nicholas is like, Dad, can you please shut up?
Oh, God.
I think I can tell this one. As a teacher, you just don't teach. You can learn from your students. And I'll remember the most important lesson I learned, it was 1986 or 7. It was right after you graduated, Carlos. And I was teaching a very high maintenance class. The GPA combined was about 3. And the class size was usually doubled because they bring their parole officer to class as well. So I mean, these were bad dudes, right? And so we had rules. We had to have some rules. They couldn't leave once class started. They could not leave because bad things happened when they went in the hallway. So this one day, Dan Holscher, who I love, played offensive line for us. Dan was about 5'3", 230. He was like a perfect circle. And we're in class one day, and I'm teaching, and he gets up and says, Coach, I gotta pee, I gotta go. No, Dan, sit down. No, I gotta go. We were back and forth. And finally, I'm like, okay, you go. Don't touch anything. Don't hurt anyone. Don't steal it. You go and you come back. That's it. He go on for about 15 seconds. He comes running back in. The door comes off the frame. Coach, the school's on fire. The school's on fire. I'm going, Dan, shut up. Shut up, Dan. Just shut. Coach, the school's on fire. And all the kids are getting agitated. They're like, animals at the zoo. You can tell they're getting at fire. I'm going, Dan, look what you're doing, And he's getting madder, and I'm getting madder. And finally, he gets right in my face. And he goes, Coach, you stupid. 4 syllables, okay? Go look out the window. And I don't get called those 4 syllables every day. So I go and look out the window, and he wasn't lying. One of the electrical closets had caught on fire. And I look at him, I go, Dan, the school's on fire. You think I was trying to tell you? So, we all left, and we went home that day. We had to go home. We lost electricity. But what I learned that day is, while all teenage boys are liars, all teenage boys don't lie all the time. And so it is important to listen to them every now and then. So that was one of my favorite moments. Yeah, I enjoyed that one.
I'll tell you what, John, I may have another one to put in there. I remember we were about to start a big game we had against Northwestern, and we had Coach Lavelle giving a tremendous, one of his inspiring speeches before a game.
Greatest pregame talks ever.
Yeah. So he's doing one of those, and Mark Bonacani is kneeling right next to me, kneeling on with his helmet. And a friend of mine, which to this day still they have no idea, I'm not going to divulge his identity, put a combination lock on his face mask, right? Coach Lavelle says, everybody hit the field. Poor Mark puts on the helmet as he's running by Coach Lavelle. Coach Lavelle looks at him and he's like, what the hell are you doing, boy? Slaps him upside the helmet. And poor Mark Bonacani's like, I don't know, this is not my locker in combination. The poor guy missed a couple plays as O'Neal was trying to take off his face mask. To this day, they're trying to find the culprit. I know the name. I know the guy. I'm not going to divulge it. Okay?
Not going to give it up, huh?
I'm not going to give it up.
Isn't there statute of limitations?
Huh?
Statute of limitations.
I think that would apply, Doc. I think that would definitely apply.
I agree with that.
Tom, should I let go of the name?
Carlos himself.
Is it safe to get the name out?
I would let it go, yeah.
I tried calling the individual out, but he would not answer my call. So, Manny Tiriaga, that was a bad thing, man.
Finally. It's like finding out who Deep Throat was all these years later. That's awesome.
John, you have
Yes.
a couple here. You've got couple class of 90. 98 is very active.
98, Adrian, your people.
Michael Carrillo, 98. The thought of decorating John Lynskey's classroom with Christmas lawn lights, Christmas lawn ornaments always cracks me up. And then you also have Matt Panzer, 98. Alex Prince, he went number 2 in his pants in Mr. Franco's class.
Yeah, we're not. Tell Matthew, what are we doing? No, this is a family.
I know. I brought you the biggest decoration, and you turned it away. That 6-foot Santa that was leaning to the side that we took from someone's house.
What were we gonna do with that, Dan? Seriously,
Hey, we took every end zone marker at every FIU game. You know, we played there, so we.
Yeah, I think Lynskey still has some of those actually.
Your desk chair was from McDonald's, if you don't recall.
I needed a new chair. You guys came through, and it was appreciated. Here's an easy one, or maybe it's an easy question. I don't know if it's an easy answer. What was your best moment as an explorer? Anything come to mind?
Graduating from Columbus.
Well, that was a surprise. Well,
Surprised I didn't get kicked out, you know, but yeah. But yeah, that's an accomplishment on its own.
I'll tell you what's interesting about my best moments is I think every generation of experience following my graduation superseded the previous experience. So when I was a teacher, I was also a JV baseball coach for Brother Herb.
Yeah.
And those 2 years, I had a tremendous experience with a bunch of young men. And if I called out the lineup of the teams that I had, you know, with 3-4 of those guys in the big leagues, everybody else played professional baseball. That was a fantastic experience for me, certainly. And those relationships that I built at that time passed on to many of those individuals being mentors and teachers of my 2 older sons in baseball. And the experience that we had with Webb, both in 2009 all the way through 2012 with both my kids going to state championship finals, that to me it was the culmination. And then you throw on top of it Danny and his experience with Cooper and all the musical trips that they did, kicking everybody's butt in the country with the World Strides competitions and bringing back the gold medal on several occasions. That to me tops it off. You know, my kids, I've lived vicariously through them. For me, that's what it's all about.
Bebo, what was it like, you know, and kudos to Tom for making this happen, because he did, the graduation on the Speedway?
That was incredible. I have to tell you that to this day, that's a situation that brings some mixed emotions, because I feel for my son, my youngest son, who didn't have the kind of normalcy and the typical kind of thing that him and all of his friends and graduates wanted to have. Very soon into this pandemic, he was itching to go back to school. Of course, that was not to happen.
Yeah.
And the fact that you guys put together this amazing graduation experience, I mean, so unique, so out there, so nobody would have thought of this. An amazing experience. One that I think they'll be talking about for the rest of their lives in terms of the uniqueness of it, the generosity of the staff, all the staff members, all the teachers sitting there in the baking sun, waving at everybody, helping out with all the stuff going on. It just goes to show you the commitment that is truly, truly for all. If there's any people listening who are parents of incoming freshmen, I'm going to tell you that this is not hype, that this is real, that this really is. For some people, you go into it like if Carlos or somebody was to have 10 kids and they were all to go to Columbus, he's going in there already knowing exactly what this is all about. But for the people that don't have kids from before, it is an experience that evolves. It's something that you slowly learn to find your niche, and you find what this is all about. And what you see most of all is what it is for your child, what it is for your son. And to me, that experience I'll never forget it. I know my son will never forget it. It was an amazing experience. And I'll tell you, and I told you before that Pugh's speech was one for the ages. I asked him to send me, and John got it for me, a written version of his speech. And to this day, I have it put away because it was so amazing, so inspiring. It really was.
It was a great day. Dave did a great job. Tom, you did a great. What a day that was.
I mean, but we couldn't have done that without the brotherhood. I mean, that was, El Garcia, down there in Homestead, Miami, Fernando, Gabriel, all the people down there. I mean, if it wasn't for the brotherhood, we couldn't have done that. But it was. I mean, it was a great day. And I remember driving down there that morning. You remember how hard we worked getting ready for that. And as driving down there that morning, I'm almost having a panic attack, because I'm thinking to myself, we're going to have 400 cars that we're going to be parking within feet of each other on the track. And I went, what? But it was beautiful. I mean, the weather was great. It was hot, obviously, but everything worked. And again, you know, Al Garcia, if you're watching, the guys at Homestead Miami, thank you so much, man. That was fabulous.
Absolutely.
Listen, for the people that haven't seen it, weren't to experience it, there is an edited video on YouTube on the graduation at the Homestead Speedway, and you have to watch it from beginning to end. It's a great video and really a good encapsulation of that experience.
And it narrates, Doc, what you mentioned. It's got David
and narrates Dave's speech. Incredible.
Let me give you just a little clue to Tom, our tremendous president, that's always looking for any way to give back to our kids, the parents, you know, to take over the shoes of the legendary brother Kevin. He's done an incredible job. And so we're extremely blessed to have you, Tom. Honestly, that's close to show what kind of individual we have there at the top. So we're blessed. We're really blessed at Columbus.
Thanks, Carlos. It's amazing to be part of the family. It really is. It's fabulous to be part of this family.
It is. Adrian?
I mean, for me, my 4 years at Columbus were some of the best years of my life. But as an explorer, I think some of the best experiences I have has been serving on the board, being able to give back to the school and seeing the great dedication, you know, that, you know, when I first got on the board, you know, Brother Kevin was the president, and I was on the finance committee a year or two into that, and just seeing the dedication of Brother Kevin in making sure that the school was healthy from a financial standpoint, and it is still today. But then also seeing the dedication from Dave Pugh and the administration, you, John, and, you know, Pat Call when she was in administration, and just everybody that's behind the scenes, every single faculty member, you know, getting to a board meeting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and leaving at 9 o'clock at night, and just seeing that the faculty that's still there, and when they come and talk at the board meetings, you know, to me, it's been a great experience to be able to serve on the board and see the huge dedication that the faculty has, and to see the benefit that the students get from all the hard work that you all put into it. I love whenever I bump into somebody, you know, I'm usually wearing a Columbus thing, and if it's a mom, she'll tell me, oh, my son is at Columbus. I love asking them, you know, what's your experience? And I don't think I've ever had one person tell me that they've had a bad experience. I mean, everybody just, you know, is beyond happy with their experience at Columbus. And I think it goes, you know, to what you all do in serving, to what the alumni do in giving back and donating to the school, to make sure that, like Tom said, every single kid that should go to Columbus goes to Columbus, and they're not going to be not allowed to come to the school because they can't pay. So, you know, to me, it's just the serving and giving back to the school has been the best experience for me as an explorer.
You know, Adrian, on that point, all 4 of you guys have been very, very generous to Columbus High School, be it in donations or in-kind service time. How do you put a dollar amount on time? But all of you are deeply dedicated to Columbus High School. Why is serving the school so important to you? Why do you give? What does it mean to you? You could do other things. Bebo, you and Lorraine do a lot of things in the community. But why do you guys focus on Columbus?
I think it's an extension of our family. I think when we go back to words like loyalty and brotherhood, the other word that falls in line to that is service. It's like the old saying, the biblical saying that faith without works is nothing. Yeah. And so it's the service part that I think how we can show our gratitude and our love for this organization, for the Marist Brothers. And again, you know, it's something, as I said, for incoming parents, if they're out there, is that it's an evolving process. It's something that you learn over time. You feel yourself getting pulled into it, and you find your niche. You find the area within the school. Like for me, for the longest time with Webb, it was baseball after I had taught and everything else. And then it became music with Mr. Cooper. And I had a lot of meetings with Keith about, you know, how can we do this? How can we create a studio, and one thing and another, boom, boom, boom. And we have this amazing music studio that's going to be part of the new building. And I was very lucky to have Tom show me the plans and see how that's going to work out, if it's going to be second to none. And so I found another niche, and I keep going from one thing to the other, whether it's helping out with medical issues, with the administration, whatever it is, but it's finding the time and the talent to really get involved and make a difference. For some people, it's just, writing a check, but for a lot of people, it's getting involved and making things better in the school.
Danny, you have been incredibly generous through your position at Herff Jones at making sure boys that want a ring, that have won a ring for that matter, if it is state title or whatever, they get that ring on their finger. And I can't commend you enough for the efforts that you put forth to make sure that these things happen. And you don't have to, you choose to.
I just feel like when I was there, you gotta pay it forward, and that's how I see it. Columbus has given me a lot of things. The friendships that I have to this day is enough for me to give back to Columbus. For me, that's enough. And what I do now for work, you guys help me out in my business. And I feel like I always got to give back to Columbus because people need help no matter what. So I get on my friends' cases. If I look at the people that donate from my classes, probably the guys that I've spoken to, and I'm going to tell them, guys, get on there and donate to Columbus. They need the help. And one of the things that we spoke about was the Caring Hearts. Was it Caring Hearts program?
Yes.
I think that's the best program. Because I was even telling my buddies about it. It's not about just only tuition and then going to Columbus. It's also about enjoying the experience at Columbus, which is what we've been talking about, the experience at Columbus. And people need that. They want to be part of that experience. So whatever I can do financially myself, I do that. But if it's in kind as well, I think I take pride in that doing it as well, because I think kids should be part of that, of those experiences. That's why.
Danny or Tom, what is the Caring Hearts program? What is that?
So the Caring Hearts Fund is something, Doc, that's brand new to us. It's a new initiative, and it flows out of Marist and taking care of all of our students, because sometimes our students and our families need help. And, certainly today more than ever, we're seeing that. Some of our students and their families, are struggling against real difficult odds just to get to graduation day. So the Brother Kevin Adelante Fund, we're able to help with financial aid to take care of tuition. But sometimes families need a little bit more. And this is where the Caring Hearts Fund comes in. It helps Columbus to meet the needs, both big and small. For example, $3 a day for lunch buys a school lunch. And that's a blessing for one of our young guys who otherwise might go hungry, because there's no extra money at home to pay for that lunch. Or a decision where a student faces a terrible circumstance, such as the death of a family member, a death of a mom, a death of a dad, and he needs some additional funds. Or it might be something as simple as a flat tire on a car. That could be almost an insurmountable obstacle to a student, where the home is, where maybe a parent is out of work and struggling to put food on the table. So the Caring Hearts Fund will allow our students to overcome that, which might derail their education. And it's an opportunity for all of us to help our students and help them succeed. It's on our website. It's under the support CCHS tab, and you'll see the Caring Hearts Fund. I've been talking to some alums about it, and I'm getting a lot of really good feedback. And I'm really excited because I know this is another opportunity for us to help you guys and get them to graduation day.
And you can give dedicated funding just for that program?
Yeah, absolutely. And any of the funds that we do, be it if you want to contribute to the Caring Hearts Fund, or if you want to contribute to tuition aid, wherever you want to give the money, that's where I'm going to put it. And you have my word on that. But if you want to give to the Caring Hearts Fund, it's really a wonderful opportunity for us to take care of our students on small things that might otherwise just turn their life upside down and cause them not to finish at Columbus. And so that's the Caring Hearts Fund. And yeah, you can go to our website and you'll see information and you can donate there.
Definitely.
Thank you for defining that as well as you did, because, I think many of our alumni, as generous as they are, I think they mistakenly believe that if you give money, it's only going to go to buildings. And buildings are very important. Obviously, the new building is very important. but it isn't just about buildings. And I think the creation of the Caring Hearts Fund, the Brother Kevin Fund, that shows it's not just about buildings. It is about people.
Yeah, and I'm happy to, if anybody wants to talk about the fund or if they want to talk about anything relates to financial aid, I'm happy to put together scholarships. We worked with DQ, with Mike Casada this year to create a scholarship around DQ Memorial Fund. So and I'm talking to some other alums about doing the same thing. I'm happy to put together things that really speak to you. And I think that's what's the important thing is, we're so grateful. I am so grateful for every dollar that you guys help us with. And Columbus, we put our dollars to good use. But if there's something that you want to talk about, if there's something that speaks to you about how you can help us, give me a call. Anytime, I'll talk. Happy to.
Very good. And I think all of us being explorers, appreciate what the guys who came before us did for us. The guys of the 1960s, Bebo, their generosity gave us air conditioning the last couple years.
That's right.
That we were in school. I mean, because, man, it was hot here with no AC, obviously. And then the money we gave led to the Moss building, okay? And obviously, athletically, what we played on, Dan, even what you played on, Carlos, what you played on, the dust and the coral rock and everything else, those are distant memories now because of our generosity. And if we give now, who knows what this place is going to look like in 20 years. We'll be pretty old in 20 years, bro, but our gifts will live on. And I think that's very important.
And John, one other thing, what we charge for tuition here is very reasonable compared to other schools around the area. And we could not do that without the generosity and the help and support of our alumni and our friends. We couldn't do it that way. We just wouldn't be able to. So I am just, really grateful. And we're able to have a very affordable education here because of all you guys. And I'm so grateful to you guys for that.
Yeah, I would like to add in, I mean, personally speaking, we're one of 6 brothers. We all went through Columbus and it was a tough time. And we couldn't say thanks to Columbus enough for their assistance and for the tuition. So for that, I'm eternally grateful. And part of the reason why I give back, along with, I think about all the friends that I had that perhaps couldn't have the opportunity to go, had it not been for the assistance that Columbus gave them. So to give back for me is very personal. Secondly, it's an investment for our future. These young men are going to be our future. We got to invest with them. All right. And every dollar we give to Columbus, we know where it's going. It's for good use. So by all means, I mean, and anything you could do out there, perhaps it's not monetary. Maybe perhaps you can donate time. Right now, I think a lot of our business owners, right, need assistance.
Yeah.
So if you know somebody who's a Columbus explorer who has a business right out there and you use something, find out if they're Columbus, explorer alumni, go to their business, help them out. It's right now time to help each other out.
Absolutely.
Especially now.
Yeah.
Especially now. And we can make a lot of money for this school, a little bit at a time. I think sometimes that gets overlooked. People say, well, they don't want $20. They don't want 25. Nothing could be further than the truth. Isn't that true, Tom?
Well, absolutely. Every dollar matters to us. And every gift, big or small, is so important to us because when we put those dollars together, we're able to do mighty things together. And we're able to, as you mentioned, the notion of paying it forward, that's an opportunity for you guys to do that. And absolutely, every contribution, no matter what the size, I am grateful for, and we will put it to absolutely good use.
And Carlos, you had a great point earlier. We do our best to support our alumni in every way we can. You've come up with an app to help support Explorer businesses. You want to say something about that real quick?
Correct. And basically, we put an app, mobile app, so it can be used anywhere around, anywhere you go. So you can log in, and in there, I don't think right now we have it active right now, but it's going to be active in the very near future, where if you're a business owner, put your business in that app. All right. This is going to put your name out there to all the alumni community. All right. Not just the alumni, but the alumni community. All right. And so we know you're out there. You don't have to give any kind of discount or anything like that. Just let us know where you're at, because we would love to help out.
Brothers helping brothers. Yeah.
John, it's worth noting on the app that Carlos, has been behind. I mean, he's put every single dollar behind creating that app. I mean, the school has not paid $1 towards that. That's been a donation from Carlos. I believe his brother's been involved too. So that goes to show you the type of alum that we have, that they, from what they have. I mean, he's building an app that, I mean, I've seen it. It's great, and it's going to be a great tool for the school. And it's a great donation that Carlos has given the school. So, we're very grateful for everyone that gives. Having been the chair of the finance committee for the last few years now, I can tell you that every single dollar that we get, as small as it is, goes directly to the school and to good use. So no small donation is too small. I think we have, like, is it 15,000 alumni or something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, if everybody were to give $30 a year, we would have $500,000 a year. I mean, so it's that it could be a small amount, but we have a lot of alums out there, and if everyone could just give a little, it will go a long way to making sure that we can continue having the Marist education that we do at Columbus, and giving every single student that comes through Columbus the Explorer experience.
Real quickly, before I forget, on the app, it's also going to be a good way for us to stay in tune with what Columbus is doing and communicate with the school directly. So it's not only a way to communicate with the school, right? But it's also a way to go ahead and promote your business. It's Columbus Connects. You can download it on your Android or your Apple phone.
Perfect. Tom, any final thoughts as we get ready to wrap up here?
Oh, there are so many more stories that I want to hear about. I mean, I want to hear about those stories that you can't tell online. I want to hear about those stories, but
they're there. Tic-tac roulette, right, Dan?
Oh yeah. Are you breaking your wrist or hand against my head? That's.
No, your head ran into my wrist is what happened.
I've heard so many stories about Carter Burris and his ring. Someday I want to hear them all. I want to hear the rest.
I'll show you the scars on my skull. Yeah. Listen, you four guys mean the world to me in different ways. Each one of you has touched my life in a very special way. When I was a young man growing up, a young teacher trying to figure out what the hell I was doing. Adrian, in the 90s, when things were a little bit different around here, you were a tremendous resource. And Dan, one of my favorite players. You know that. I'm not blowing smoke. You know that. And so I thank all four of you for the impact you've had on my life. I thank all four of you for being here tonight. And Tom, I thank you for your unbelievable steady hand, because it's strange days right now. It's strange days for all of us, and it's strange days here at Columbus. But you are working so hard along with Dave Pugh, to make sure Columbus continues to move forward. And I thank you for that.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for doing this tonight. Thank you for all that you do for us. Guys, thanks so much for being there, and everybody who's watching. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Pleasure.
All right, let's wrap it up. Thank you again, guys. Take care of yourselves. Adelante and Explore Nation. Until the next time, take care and stay healthy. Good night.
Good night.
Adelante.